Residents of southeastern Louisiana are over 50% more likely to develop cancer than the average American, according to environmental lawyer Julie Metters. That's how the region earned the title Cancer Alley. The story behind Cancer Alley illustrates how industrial growth, environmental policy, and historical inequality can shape the health of an entire region. I am a civil engineering major and currently researching risk assessment protocols for chemical manufacturers. I've been studying the relationship between industrial regions and public health. First, I'll explain how the rapid decline of plantation agriculture in southeastern Louisiana paved the way for the rise of chemical manufacturing throughout the region. Next, I will show how shifts in political power dynamics led to the concentration of chemical plants in specific communities. Finally, I will demonstrate how these factors culminated in the region's transformation into Cancer Alley. To understand how Cancer Alley came to exist, we need to start at the beginning, with the collapse of Louisiana's plantation economy. Metters' research shows that the downfall of plantation agriculture in Louisiana left a vacuum that was filled by emerging petrochemical manufacturers. The shuttered plantations left large stretches of land along the Mississippi River vacant and unused. The land was flat, cheap, and close to the river, which empties into the Gulf, giving factories easy access to water for cooling, waste disposal, and transport. The closure of the plantations devastated the region's economy. Because they were so heavily dependent on plantation agriculture, the region never fully recovered. Metters points out that state and local officials were eager to fill the vacancies and revitalize the region. Petrochemical manufacturers hit the jackpot. Louisiana provided an abundance of cheap land in an ideal location with desperate government officials who happened to be in charge of creating regulations and issuing permits. In her research, Metters also demonstrates that the power dynamics between chemical manufacturers and local governments became clear fairly quickly, ending with the government agreeing to allow plants to open and operate within designated sacrifice zones. She notes that most communities didn't want the unsightly, foul-smelling factories near the residences, but they still wanted the plants nearby so that they could reap the economic benefits. Louisiana's solution to this location problem, she explains, was the creation of the 1926 Standard State Zoning Enabling Act, which eventually gave complete zoning control over to the parishes. She found that with this new law, many of the poor, predominantly Black communities were left unincorporated, which made them easier for the parishes to rezone as industrial. Legal segregation in Louisiana lasted until 1964, and Jim Crow laws ensured Black residents had little power to resist these official rulings. Metters concludes that the wealthy manufacturers quickly became the dominant power in the region and ensured only the politicians in line with their own interests were the ones making decisions. Their dominance exists even today, where the chemical corridor manufacturers enjoy some of the loosest toxic waste release regulations in the United States. With chemical manufacturers firmly in control of political power throughout the region, they began releasing hazardous waste at astounding rates, exposing the already disadvantaged and minority communities to harmful toxic chemicals. According to anthropology professor Merrill Singer, present-day Cancer Alley is home to the highest level of toxic pollution in all three categories: air, water, and soil. He notes that Louisiana officials are the ones who are responsible for issuing permits for factories for releasing toxic chemicals. Many factories, such as DuPont and Shell Chemicals, are permitted to release toxic waste at volumes far beyond what the EPA deems to be safe. In Metters' research, she notes that some of the most common and harmful pollutants include chloroprene, vinyl chloride, and ethylene oxide. According to the report on carcinogens published by the EPA, all three of these chemicals are classified as carcinogens, and exposure to them can cause various types of cancer and other health conditions. While conducting his research, Singer interviewed several residents of Cancer Alley to get a better understanding of their lived experiences. One resident he interviewed gave the following statement: "When I bathe my grandson in the water, his skin on his toes comes off. It peels off, and his hands too, peeling in the water. He is 6 years old. He is too young to be peeling like that." Because of the lack of regulation enforcement in Louisiana's economic dependence on these industries, there's no end in sight for the ongoing pollution of Cancer Alley. So now you know how Cancer Alley came to be. First, the collapse of Louisiana's plantation economy left behind vulnerable land and vulnerable people. Next, chemical manufacturers moved in, and political power shifted quickly in their favor. Finally, the health consequences are clearly evident and continue to plague the communities of southeastern Louisiana today. Earlier I mentioned that residents of Cancer Alley are over 50% more likely to develop cancer than the average American. That statistic alone shows the importance of understanding the conditions that allowed for this to happen to all of those people.